What if the biggest thing holding you back isn't your lack of talent, but your fear of what other people might think? Think about it for a second. How many dreams have been abandoned because someone was afraid of being judged? How many ideas never became reality because a person waited for approval instead of taking action? The truth is, people will always have opinions. They judged you before you started, they'll judge you while you're trying, and they'll judge you even after you succeed. So if judgment is unavoidable, why let it decide the direction of your life? The people who make the greatest impact aren't fearless. They simply stop giving power to opinions that don't move them forward. They understand that confidence isn't built by being accepted by everyone, it's built by staying true to who you are. Today, we're going to explore how to break free from the need for validation, silence the fear of judgment, and start living a life that's driven by purpose, not by other people's expectations. Let's begin. One of the biggest reasons people never reach their potential is that they're constantly waiting for permission. They wait for someone to approve of their decisions, agree with their dreams, or tell them they're good enough before they take the next step. But here's the problem. Approval is one of the most unreliable things you can build your life around. The moment your confidence depends on someone else's opinion, you've handed them control over your choices. From the time we're young, we're taught to seek approval. We look to our parents for encouragement, our teachers for praise, our friends for acceptance, and eventually our colleagues, our audience, and even strangers on the internet. There's nothing wrong with wanting to belong. It's part of being human. The problem begins when belonging becomes more important than becoming. When acceptance matters more than growth, we start making decisions based on what will keep people comfortable instead of what will help us become the person we're capable of being. Think about how many opportunities people ignore because they're afraid of hearing someone say, "That's a bad idea." They don't apply for the job they really want because they're worried others will think they're not qualified. They don't start the business because friends might laugh if it fails. They don't share their ideas because someone could criticize them. They don't create content because they're afraid of negative comments. None of these decisions are based on ability. They're based on the fear of disapproval. The interesting thing is that people often overestimate how much others are thinking about them. Most people are busy dealing with their own challenges, insecurities, goals, and responsibilities. They're not spending their entire day analyzing your choices. Yet we create stories in our minds about what everyone must be thinking. And those imagined opinions become powerful enough to stop us from taking action. Even when people do have opinions, those opinions are shaped by their own experiences, beliefs, fears, and limitations. Someone who has never taken a risk may discourage you from taking one because it feels unsafe to them. Someone who gave up on their dream might question yours because your courage reminds them of what they abandoned. That doesn't make them bad people. It simply means their perspective belongs to their journey, not yours. The danger comes when you mistake someone else's perspective for your own reality. If every decision must first pass through the filter of public approval, you'll spend your life living according to expectations that were never yours to begin with. You'll choose careers because they look impressive, not because they fulfill you. You'll stay silent because speaking honestly might upset someone. You'll avoid change because familiarity earns more approval than growth ever does. Real confidence doesn't come from hearing applause. It comes from keeping promises to yourself. Every time you take action despite uncertainty, every time you stay committed to your values, every time you move forward without needing everyone to agree, you strengthen something far more valuable than approval. You strengthen trust in yourself. This is why purpose matters so much. When you're clear about why you're doing something, outside opinions lose some of their power. They don't disappear, but they stop becoming the deciding factor. A person with a strong sense of purpose doesn't ignore feedback, but they also don't allow criticism to define their identity. They know the difference between learning from others and living for others. There's also a difference between seeking wisdom and seeking validation. Wisdom helps you improve. Validation simply makes you feel temporarily accepted. Wise people ask for feedback because they want to grow. Approval seekers ask for opinions because they want reassurance. One mindset leads to progress. The other creates dependence. Many successful people were doubted before they were admired. Their ideas were questioned, their abilities underestimated, and their decisions criticized. If they had waited until everyone believed in them, they might never have started. What made the difference wasn't that they convinced everyone first. What made the difference was that they were willing to begin before receiving universal approval. It's important to remember that approval is temporary. The same people who praise you today may criticize you tomorrow. Public opinion changes quickly. If your confidence rises and falls with every compliment or criticism, your emotional stability will always be controlled by circumstances outside your control. Lasting confidence has to come from something deeper than changing opinions. One practical way to reduce the need for approval is to ask yourself a simple question before making a decision. Am I doing this because it aligns with my values, or because I hope someone else will approve of me? That question creates awareness. It helps separate authentic choices from fear-driven ones. Another powerful shift happens when you realize that disappointing some people is unavoidable. Every meaningful decision closes one door while opening another. Choosing one path means saying no to countless others. Trying to satisfy everyone usually results in satisfying no one, including yourself. Leadership, creativity, and personal growth all require the willingness to accept misunderstanding. You also don't need everyone to believe in your vision before you begin working toward it. Sometimes belief comes after results, not before them. People often support success once they can see it, but they rarely see the quiet effort, the uncertainty, and the persistence that created it. Waiting for approval before taking action means waiting for something that often arrives only after you've already proven yourself. Your life becomes much lighter when you stop treating every opinion as a verdict. Opinions are information, not instructions. Some deserve your attention because they're thoughtful and constructive. Others deserve nothing more than acknowledgement before you continue moving forward according to your purpose. The ability to tell the difference is one of the most valuable skills you can develop because it allows your decisions to be guided by conviction instead of constant approval seeking. Every person reaches a moment in life when they have to answer a simple but powerful question. Why am I doing this? It's a question that seems ordinary on the surface, but it has the power to change every decision you make. When you don't know your reason, you become vulnerable to every distraction, every criticism, and every opinion. But when your purpose is clear, your direction becomes stronger than the noise around you. Many people spend years chasing goals that don't actually belong to them. They pursue careers because they look successful. They buy things because society tells them they should. They compare their progress to other people and feel behind, not because they're unhappy with their own lives, but because they've accepted someone else's definition of success. The result is a constant feeling of pressure. Even when they're achieving everything they thought they wanted, purpose changes that. It shifts your attention from proving yourself to expressing yourself. Instead of asking, how can I impress people? You begin asking, how can I contribute? How can I create value? How can I make a meaningful impact? That shift transforms not only your actions, but also the way you experience challenges. Difficult moments stop feeling like signs to quit and start feeling like part of the journey, knowing your why. Doesn't mean you'll always have every answer. It doesn't mean your path will become easy or that uncertainty will disappear. It means you have something stable to return to whenever life becomes confusing. Your purpose becomes an anchor. While circumstances change, your reason for moving forward remains consistent. Imagine trying to build a house without a foundation. No matter how beautiful the walls look, the structure will eventually become unstable. In the same way, goals without purpose often collapse under pressure. The first setback feels overwhelming because there's no deeper reason to continue. But when your actions are connected to something meaningful, resilience becomes possible. You don't continue because it's easy. You continue because your reason is greater than the obstacle. This is why people with a clear purpose often appear more confident than everyone else. Their confidence doesn't come from knowing they'll succeed every time. It comes from knowing why they started in the first place. Failure becomes information instead of identity. Criticism becomes feedback instead of proof that they should stop. They understand that one difficult moment doesn't erase a meaningful mission. Many people confuse purpose with a job title, a business, or a specific achievement. But purpose is deeper than any role you play. Jobs can change, businesses can grow or fail, circumstances can shift overnight. If your identity depends entirely on those external things, every change feels like losing yourself. Purpose, however, can remain constant even as your circumstances evolve. It's about the impact you want to create and the values you refuse to compromise. One of the reasons people struggle to discover their purpose is because they're looking for something dramatic. They expect a life-changing moment where everything suddenly becomes clear. In reality, purpose is often discovered through consistent action, curiosity, and reflection. You learn what matters by paying attention to the moments that give you energy, the problems you naturally want to solve, and the kind of contribution that feels meaningful to you. Purpose also requires honesty. It asks you to separate your own desires from the expectations placed upon you. That's not always comfortable because expectations often come from people you love and respect. Family, friends, teachers, and society all have ideas about what success should look like. While their intentions may be good, no one else can define the life you're meant to live. If you spend your life following someone else's map, you may arrive at a destination that never truly belonged to you. When your why is clear, comparison begins to lose its influence. You stop measuring your progress against someone else's timeline because you're no longer running the same race. Another person's success doesn't threaten you because your mission is different. Their achievements become proof that possibilities exist, not evidence that you're falling behind. Purpose also changes the way you respond to criticism. Without purpose, criticism feels personal because your confidence depends on approval. With purpose, you become more selective. You listen to feedback that helps you improve, but you don't allow every opinion to change your direction. You recognize that people are evaluating your actions through the lens of their own experiences, fears, and beliefs. Their perspective may contain useful insight, but it doesn't automatically become your truth. There will be days when motivation disappears. Everyone experiences moments of doubt, exhaustion, and frustration. Motivation is emotional, and emotions naturally rise and fall. Purpose is different. Purpose doesn't depend on how you feel in a particular moment. It reminds you why the work matters even when the excitement fades. That's why people with a meaningful purpose are often able to remain consistent, while others quit after the initial enthusiasm disappears. Your why also shapes the decisions you make every day. It influences how you spend your time, who you surround yourself with, what opportunities you accept, and what distractions you reject. Every choice either moves you closer to your purpose or further away from it. Without a clear reason, it's easy to become busy without becoming effective. Activity is not the same as progress. Purpose creates clarity in a world full of noise. Every day you're surrounded by advertisements, opinions, trends, and expectations telling you who you should become. If you don't know what matters to you, those voices will constantly compete for your attention. But when you're grounded in your own values and mission, you no longer feel the need to chase every opportunity or respond to every opinion. You develop the discipline to focus on what truly aligns with the life you're trying to build. The most influential people are rarely driven by recognition alone. Recognition may come, but it's not the reason they continue. They're driven by something larger than themselves, something that gives meaning to their effort and direction to their decisions. Their purpose becomes the filter through which they evaluate success, failure, opportunity, and challenge. Instead of asking whether something will make them look successful, they ask whether it moves them closer to the impact they want to create. And that single question changes everything about the way they live, work, and grow. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that the purpose of life is to earn the approval of everyone around them. They become so focused on managing other people's opinions that they forget to manage their own direction. Every decision is filtered through a single question. What will people think? Instead of asking whether something is meaningful, they ask whether it will be accepted. Instead of pursuing purpose, they spend their energy protecting their image. The problem with living this way is that opinions are constantly changing. What one person admires, another person criticizes. The same decision that earns respect from one group may attract doubt from another. If your life is guided by public opinion, your direction will change every time the crowd changes. You'll constantly adjust your actions, not because your values have changed, but because you're trying to satisfy expectations that can never truly be satisfied. Purpose works differently. Purpose gives you a destination that remains steady even when circumstances become uncertain. It doesn't eliminate obstacles or criticism, but it helps you understand which obstacles are worth facing. When your focus is on purpose, every challenge becomes part of a meaningful journey instead of a reason to stop. Think about how many talented people never share their gifts with the world because they fear criticism. They spend months perfecting an idea but never launch it. They dream about starting a business but wait until everyone agrees